This is Our Blood Runs Black, a podcast honoring the people, the faith, and the coalfield legacy that shaped generations.
Welcome back this week for Our Blood Runs Black in regard to coal mining and the coal mine explosion that happened on June 21st, 1983 in McClure, Virginia. It was our book, Our Blood Runs Black, that is out now that you can purchase online. You can get on Amazon, Books A Million. And today we've got special guests here that were in the mine that night, and some of them with recovery, and then some of them worked it after. So my name's Marcia Sutherland Self. I'm the daughter. My dad was Miles Sutherland.
And I'm Becky Reiner White. I'm the daughter of F.C. Reiner.
This is Ronnie Mann, and I'll let you sort of introduce yourself and what role you had, and then how you got to McClure 1 will be our first question, and what you've learned about it.
Okay, well, I appreciate what you and Rebecca are doing, and I knew both your dads very well. I worked with them many shifts, and F.C. Reiner was one of the best foremen that I ever worked with. And you couldn't find anyone with more of a deeper Christian faith than what Miles had. And he was an inspiration to everyone that he was around. And so I'm Ronnie Mann, and I lived in Bristol, Virginia at the time of the explosion. And I actually, I worked on that section until a few days before the explosion. And I had just gotten awarded a day shift job as a supply motorman. And Kat Counts told me, she's not real good friends, and she told me that she was going to bid on, and that means she was going to sign the petition to have the company review her for the job that I was signing off of. She wanted my old job, and at the time she was on belt maintenance. I was a shuttle car operator on first left mines section, and she said that she was going to sign that job, and she had a lot of seniority, and we were very confident that if she signed it, or I was, that she would be awarded the job. And I actually tried to talk her out of it. Not that I thought that anything bad was going to happen to her. I knew it was a tough, demanding type job, and I knew that she would probably struggle running a shuttle car. It's a rough job. I knew she would struggle with that coming off of belt maintenance. And so I was concerned about it because she and I were good friends, and I was really concerned about how tough that was going to be for her. And she said, well, I have a lot of seniority on here at this mines. And she said, so if I don't like it or it doesn't work out, I can sign on another job that comes up. I can bid on it. And so anyway, that was our conversation. And about that, I started at McClure 1 in 1981. And I was working at the Birchfield number 1 and number 2 mines in Wise County. Birchfield was a real low-coal operation, and I left there, and then I came back I was hired back again to come back to McClure 1. And so the day of the explosion, I was up on that section. I was supply motorman on day shift now, and we had to drop some supplies into first left, and so we went up and did our normal routine.
Two left.
I was a 2 left, yeah. And second left. And I just missed it by 1. And so we did our normal routine. We had to remove the man trip bus that was on that section because it was on the rail and it was sitting on the end of the rail. So we had to go in, pull the man trip out, drive it out rather, and set it out on the main line. We dropped our supply car in, and then we took the man trip bus back down to that section. That was about 3:30, 3:45 in the afternoon. We were going to be off work at 4, so that gave us 15 minutes to get our locomotive back to the barn, we called it, and that was the area where it would be charged up. And so I went there and exited the mines and went up the elevator, and I took my shower and went home.
So can I ask a question? So you were the shuttle car driver on 2 left
Mhm.
on the evening shift,
Mhm.
and you were being transferred, or that position became available. And Kat Counts, the first woman to die in a coal mine accident in the state of Virginia. Kat had seniority and wanted that position, and that put her on the evening shift in a shuttle car on 2 left
And that was
the night of the explosion.
and it was the right drive shuttle car, and that was the shuttle car that I drove, and she was on the evening shift already, when on belt
Yes.
maintenance on evening shift, and so she didn't change shifts. So when then she was immediately awarded the job because she had so much seniority there, and I did not feel good about her taking that, but anyway, that was her choice, and now I really liked Cat Counts. She and I were really good friends, and when I went home that day, I took my shower there at the McClure one, and went home, got in my car, drove home to Bristol. It's about an hour and 30-minute so drive, and I hadn't been home. I ate supper, and it was getting ready. It's almost getting bedtime, and Roy Glover called me, and he said, Ron, there's been an accident here at the mines. I'm not sure what it is yet. He said, I think it's a fire, but I'm not sure. And he said, they have evacuated the mines. And he said, except for second left, he said they haven't came out yet. And he said, so I'm not sure why. And he said, we don't know what's going on. And so he said, I'll keep you informed as soon as I find out. Because Roy and I were real good friends. He was a mechanic on the evening shift. And so I didn't hear any more from Roy the rest of the night. But the next morning, then we discovered that it had actually been a mine explosion. We didn't know anything about fatalities or injuries or anything like that. And early on, I called the Channel 5 news station, WCYB, in Bristol, to see if they had learned anything. And they said no, they hadn't learned anything about it yet. And so I didn't know whether to drive over there. Well, I get a call from the mines saying not to report to work. And so I knew then that it was a bad thing, whatever it was. And then, of course, as the day went on, we discovered that yes, there was fatalities, and then it took a couple of days to really understand what all had happened and who was involved. And my heart was broken when I discovered that Rebecca's dad was one of the victims, and that Cat was one of the victims. And Eugene Meade, he and I rode together some, and he was one of the victims. And Dale Stamper and Covey French were victims. But I learned a little bit later that Dale Stamper and Covey French both had gotten saved in their church.
Yes.
And within 2 weeks of the explosion. And that was what I was told. That might have been a little bit longer, or a little bit closer, but around that. And so that was a very good thing. And then I was really relieved to find out that my good friend Miles Sutherland had survived, and that Emory Howard had survived. And I was happy about that, and Joe Boyd. And so I wanted to go visit with Miles, but his injuries were so severe that it was months of surgeries and skin grafts, and before anyone could see him, or before I felt like it was comfortable enough for me to go see him. And but I did get to see Miles later and then I even visited him once when he came home. I went to visit with him, and I said, Miles, are you in a position or capable of sharing your testimony? Like I could, what happened, that you could remember, that would be such an inspiration to folks. And he said, no, he said, I can't talk about it. And he said, I wouldn't be able to get up in front of a congregation or in front of a group of people and talk about that. And he said, but I will tell you this, I'll tell you what I remember. He said, when the explosion happened, I wasn't sure what it was. He said, I just knew that I got hit with something. And he said, I went unconscious. He said, I was unconscious for a while. And then he said, I came to, but I don't know how long I was really out. When I came to, my light wasn't on, my cap light that was on my helmet. He said it wasn't burning, so I could not see anything. It was total darkness. And he said, I raised up, and he said, I tried to get my self-rescuer loose. I was going to try to put it on, even though he said he was breathing pretty good. The oxygen was fairly good there where he was. And he said, but he was still trying to get the rescuer on, but he said, I couldn't feel it. His hands were burned so bad that he could not feel the latch to unlatch it. And this was the self-rescuer, like what he was trying to get open. He said he could not get it open. And he said, I then realized, he said, I was a dead man. And he said, I knew I wasn't going to survive. I wasn't going to live. And he said, I just simply laid back down on the mine floor. And he said, I said, Lord, I'll just commit my spirit right back to you.
Amen.
And from that point, he said, I went unconscious again. He said, the next thing I remember, there was people all around me pushing me. He said I was laying on a gurney, and he said they were carrying me or pushing me somewhere. And he said, I don't know where I was, but he said, but I came to enough to know where I was. And he said, then I went out again. He said, the next time I came to, I was at the hospital. And but I discovered later that some people that was with him said he came to when he was on the elevator coming out of the mines. And but it was a relief to know that Miles had survived that event. And then the other folks that were on that section, a couple of them were new. I did not know the foreman very well, and the mechanic was new, so I did not know him very well. And but F.C. Reiner, I knew F.C. Reiner very well, and from what I understand, F.C. did not even have to be there. He retired on the Friday before the Tuesday of the explosion, and he told his crew, that was his crew that he was foreman over, and he told his crew that he said, on Tuesday, next Tuesday, guys, I'm coming with fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Don't anyone bring any lunch. He said, I'm going to supply lunch and the trimmings. And he said, so it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so on Tuesday, he arrived at the mines, and the mechanic went to the bottom of the elevator at the elevator shaft. I'm not sure how far it was from second left to the elevator, but probably half a mile, do you think?
Probably.
Something like that, half a mile underground. He went and picked F.C. Reiner up with the man trip bus, and it was a battery powered vehicle that ran on rail that transported men to their sections. And he arrived on the section. They had a little celebration, his farewell party, and they ate fried chicken, and then it came time for him to leave and the men to get back to work. He got on the man trip with the mechanic, and then that's when the explosion occurred, apparently. And so the sad part was he only got to enjoy his retirement for 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then Tuesday, the event. And so that was heartbreaking, and within itself. And so I just never understood, never tried to understand why it happened the way it did, why I was awarded the day shift job, why Cat Counts was running the piece of machinery that I would have been running. So I don't question things like that. It just is what it is. And it wasn't like I felt a sense of relief that it was someone else and not me. I never felt that at all. And I can't say that I wish it had been me, but it was so heartbreaking that you just get to the point to where that you just don't question it. It is what it is. You survived for a purpose, and they perished for a purpose, and so their families had to deal with the losses, and my family would have been dealing with. And I thought FC had retired already, but FC was actually assigned an outside job for that week that he was there, and he was going to officially retire on this coming Friday, but he didn't make it to that day. And I thought he had already retired, but nonetheless, it was very tragic that all of that was cut short. And and it's, there's a family connection with everyone you work with in the coal mines. There's something about coal mining that I had one of my grandsons ask me just recently, this past weekend, he said, "Granddad, did you like working in the mines?" And I said, "Nate, I loved working in the mines. I looked forward to going to work. It was a job I looked forward to." And I said, "Yes, I loved working in the mines." And miners they're also pranksters and jokesters and pulling pranks on each other. I pulled a scare on a couple of guys a time or two that they said they were not forgiving me for. And also, we have in our company here Mr. Wayne Fields. And on one of my assignments when I was working evening shift, I was working with a track crew, and we were laying rail inside the mines, and we were on section, and it was humid day, and we were all getting sweaty, and we were working laying rails, and we saw someone walking toward us, coming up the belt line. And we could tell they're walking pretty fast because when you see someone off in the distance, all you can see is their cap light. And the cap light was going up and down really fast because I knew they were walking pretty fast. And so when they approached where we were, it was Mr. Wayne Fields. And prior to his arriving there, one of our buddies, Mr. Randy Campbell, went over to the mine phone because he thought the mine foreman on that section was going to come down and use the mine phone and at the end of the belt line where it was set up. And he took a blob of grease and put on the earpiece of the handset of the mine phone and put it back on the rack.
You did. Oh, you remember.
So as we were working and anticipating the foreman coming down to the mine phone and get his ear full of grease, it didn't happen that way. Wayne Fields walking up the belt line in a hurry. He was all sweaty, and he runs over to the phone at the end of the tailpiece and puts it to his ear. And that's when he discovered there was something not right. And he takes it and he looks at it and he sees that big blob of grease. He's trying to clean the grease out of his ear, and he was not a happy camper. And he demanded, not wanted to know. He did not only did he not want to know, he demanded to know who put on the mine phone. Randy Campbell was the person that did it, but we weren't going to give up no one right now because we were afraid he might get shot or something. But anyway, that was. Turned out to be a funny story that wasn't so funny at the time, and he was not the targeted person, but he's just a person that became the victim of that little incident. But coal miners do pranks because they're family. That's what you do with your family. And yes, I enjoyed going to work every day, and I enjoyed even on the days that you have hard labor, you got hard things you got to do to get it done today. It was not something you dreaded to do. You just jumped in and got your work done, and especially when you had a foreman like F.C. Reiner, you wanted to work for this man. He was such he had such a loyalty for the people that worked for him that you, in return, was very loyal to him. And if F.C. Reiner told you to do it, you just go and do it. You didn't question it. You just go and do it because he was the man in charge. But F.C. was the type of person that he would not ask you to do something that he would not do himself. So you roll your sleeves up and go to work. He rolls his sleeves up and jump right in there with you and help you. That was the type of person that F.C. Reiner was. And so it was a pleasure working with him. After the smoke cleared and all of the information became available to us, we sat and cried, heartbroken, not understanding why, not understanding any of it. Thankful for those that survived it, and we wanted to be there for the families of those that were the victims of that methane explosion. And in trying to understand a methane explosion in a coal mines, this is the best way to understand what the characteristics of methane. Methane in a coal mines, methane to coal dust is what a fuse is to dynamite, if you can understand that. Methane ignites the coal dust. And the coal dust is extremely violent when it explodes. It is extremely, extremely violent. And the temperature is probably above 1,800 degrees when it gets full blown. And the perfect mixture with methane, which Danny and him will probably talk about here in a little while, the perfect mixture is 10% methane. And at 10%, you get your massive, that's where you get your massive explosion. Highest potential of damage is at 10%. And so once again, I want to say that I'm very excited and thankful about Marsha and Rebecca and about them putting together this book. This is going to be around for a very long time, for a lot of generations to be able to reflect back and understand the work, the hard work, the loss, what coal mining is really all about, and people are going to be able to understand what happened to their relatives. And even folks that have family members that were coal miners that were maybe not even at that mines, but coal miners in general. This book is going to shine a light on that, what coal miners' life is all about. So thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Rebecca, for allowing me to come and share my vantage point of this event that took place on June 21st. In 1983, and it will always be etched in my mind, my heart, and never be forgotten. And hopefully, many generations will be able to understand it and see it as the way it was. It's very accurate, and these girls have done a marvelous job in creating this book. And I would encourage anyone to order this book and read it. So thank you, girls. I appreciate it.
I had a tidbit to say about my father. When a coal miner retires, evidently there's a little bit of, on the last day, a hazing of pranks kind of planned. And Dad's last day was to be Friday, but he didn't say anything, but he planned for Thursday night, he worked the night shift, to be his last night because he was afraid concerned if he came in Friday. He said they would cut his britchy legs off and they would do different things.
Some worse things. Yeah.
And let me share one thing about the fried chicken. it's a tradition, in, for coal miners on your birthday to bring, instead of have someone give you something, you gave something on your birthday.
Wow.
So, on your birthday, you would bring a dinner. And of course, it wasn't anyone's birthday. He did it because he was, going away party. But it was a tradition. It was a tradition in Coalfields to bring dinner. I brought fried chicken on my birthdays for many years, and fried chicken was a real popular luncheon. So, but thank you, girls.
Well,
Thank you
we
very
thank
much.
you, Ronnie, for being here. And have you retired now? You're enjoying retirement from?
I just retired from ETSU. May 28th was my last day. And I was IT specialist and audiovisual specialist at East Tennessee State University College of Nursing.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you so much for doing that.
Right.
And we appreciate him here being this week. We hope you have a happy, safe week.
Yes, and we look forward to Danny Mann being here. So
And let's dig coal.
God bless you.